This is Belfast. It's 15 years since the Troubles came to an end here. And these days it looks like any other city in the UK. On the surface, at least. But this city is still divided up between Catholics and Protestants. And summertime here often means rioting. I've spent this summer on the front line with a loyalist marching band, trying to find out why so many young people who grew up with peace are now feeling so angry.
They're trying to stop our culture. They're trying to stop it all together. And they'll not be happy until it does stop.
And I've met people on the other side of a deeply divided city.
It's a territorial thing mainly here. That's their land and this is our land.
This is the story of how one band marched into the eye of a storm and how I found myself caught in the middle as it all went wrong.
There's bricks and bottles coming through. The water cannon's been used as plastic bullets. It's full on right.
Welcome to Belfast. I'm Ailís Hart. I moved here 4 years ago to work for the BBC. I enjoy living and working here. It's usually a fun and safe city. Until last year, when this happened. Massive riots kicked off when the British flag was taken down from Belfast City Hall. Protestant loyalists, who are staunchly British, saw it as an insult. They went crazy for weeks.
We want our flag back up. That flag means more to us than just a symbol.
This riot happened just a few minutes' walk from my flat. It's all a long way from where I grew up. This is where I'm from, County Donegal in the Republic of Ireland. It's close to the border with Northern Ireland, but it's a different country and a very different place. I was brought up a Catholic, but for me, the kind of division that is part of life in Northern Ireland just wasn't an issue.
Religion plays such a huge role in Northern Ireland. My mum tells the story, I think I was 11 before I piped up and said, am I Catholic or Protestant? Like, I didn't feel divided like that. It was just more straightforward here, and people didn't have a complicated relationship with their national identity or with what religion they were. So it's just much more straightforward here.
For some people in Belfast, what religion you are or where you're from still really matters. I'm on my way to a part of Belfast where most Catholics would never go. To enter a world that's usually closed to outsiders. These loyalist flute bands walk the streets here every summer. They are loyal to the Queen and proud of being British, and this is how they show it. Many Catholics despise bands like this. They see them as celebrating Protestant supremacy over Catholics, and they find it really offensive. Now, I'm going to meet one of the most controversial bands around.
So, here we are. Feels pretty, feels very British. They've flags flying everywhere. I think now that I'm just here, I'm a wee bit apprehensive. This isn't my part of town, So I don't know how welcome I am or how often really, Catholics would go into a building like that. Yeah.
This band is called Pride of Ardoyne. They have a reputation amongst some Catholics as being offensive. It's very rare for an outsider like me to be invited in like this. But some members of this band say they want to set the record straight. Gary is the band's lead drummer. He's 22 and he works in a factory. He recently became a dad. The band takes up the rest of his time.
It's always been there, you know what I mean? It's part of my life. It's kind of always been practice every week, praise most weekends. It's been part of me growing up. I've always been there.
Gordy's also just become a dad. He's out of work, so being in the band means a lot to him.
The band, it's like an escape, I feel like, to get away from, like, not the family life is crap, but just to get away from it and to have your own group, to have a laugh and stuff and take your mind off things. It's brilliant.
Being here in this room is a bit strange for me. You can't even be in a band like this if you're a Catholic. Only Protestants get to beat these drums. It's also men only.
We're going to teach Ellis how to play the bass drum. Quick, on the table. Come on. Table down.
So when band leader Michael asks me to join in, I'm not sure what to do.
I have no rhythm at all.
I'll keep you in the Oh yeah, you've got me fired now.
I can't believe I played bass drum for Loyalist flute band. So much trouble.
Band practice is over for tonight, but it looks like my time with Pride of Ardoyne is just beginning. They've agreed to let me follow them this summer as they march the streets. In a week, they'll bring me to my first parade. To many people in Belfast, especially Catholics, Loyalist bands like Pride of Ardoyne exist in a different world. Meet Tanya and Roisin. Tanya is 19 and hoping to train to be a nurse. Roisin has just finished her A-levels and wants to be airline cabin crew. Tonight, they're out in Belfast city centre. 20 years ago, the violence meant that much of the city centre was a no-go area after dark. Not anymore.
Belfast is actually a really, really good place to go out. Like, the nightlife is really nice and there's no bother when you go out. Like, the city centre in Belfast is a really neutral place. Like, you wouldn't get anybody that's going to worry about where you're from or like what religion you are or anything. No one asks questions like that when you come into town.
But Tanya and Roisin don't live in the city centre. They're from Ardoyne in the north of the city. In fact, the Pride of Ardoyne Band Hall isn't very far away. But that's not somewhere Tanya and Roisin could ever go, because they're Catholics. This part of Belfast is really divided along religious lines. Even the bus stops are Catholic or Protestant. The girls would never consider using the Protestant one.
Do you not think it's funny that you don't get the bus stop closest to your house?
I think it's actually quite funny that people think that's weird, though, because if you go over to a bus stop that's not in your area, you're kind of at risk. Like, anything can happen. There's no definite thing that you're safe. So, like, if we've got a bus stop in our own area and we know that if we could get on the bus we're going to know somebody and it's more local, then we're going to get that bus.
Roisin, what about you?
Why would I get a bus over there if I've got a bus stop here? Like, it wouldn't make the difference. Like, I wouldn't put myself in a risk of someone saying she's a Catholic. It's not as if, like, you're fighting for your church or anything. It's like, it probably started about religion, but it's not about religion no more. Like, God would come into it, doesn't he now?
And it's absolutely nothing to do with religion whatsoever. I think people have been so brainwashed by politics. Whatever they think it is, people still act on it, so you have to react.
Tanya and Roisin say it's about two tribes and their turf. And Tanya told me she would consider leaving this area to get away from it all.
It's a territorial thing mainly here. Like, that's their land and this is our land. Like, that's the way it is. That's how they see it.
The divisions don't just exist in people's heads. When one side feels their turf is under threat, it can get very ugly very quickly. Every summer, Pride of Ardoyne band marches past the Catholic estate where Tanya and Roisin live. The Catholics don't want them, and every summer it leads to violence. The kind of violence that if it happened anywhere else in the UK, it would be big news. I want to know what it is about these parades that Catholics find so offensive. So it's about time I went to one.
Dad, we're not leaving your car here.
Aye, mate.
It's Friday night, and for Gordy and Gary, it's time to march. This is what it's all about for them. I've never been to a Loyalist band parade before. This parade is staying on the Loyalist side of the lines, so it won't attract any protests from Catholics. In fact, the only Catholic here will be me. The whole point of band parades is about asserting that you're Protestant and British. Lots of the songs celebrate historical victories when Protestants beat Catholics in battle. The song they're playing now, The Sash, is a famous one. That's one reason why Catholics don't like bands like this marching past. But the band see it differently.
My reputation people think is we're young yobs that are looking to disrupt and to cause chaos, and we're not. It's a family band out looking to enjoy themselves for the community and to support our culture.
On their flags, drums and uniforms are the names of 4 band members who were killed during the conflict here, which became known as the Troubles. Through the 70s, 80s and 90s, there was carnage on the streets of Northern Ireland. Republican groups like the IRA wanted the British government to leave Ireland and thought violence was the way to get there. Loyalists wanted Northern Ireland to remain part of the UK, and they fought back. In the violence that followed, 3,600 people died, and up to 50,000 were injured. Two of the men remembered by the band, Sammy Rocket and William Hanna, were reported to be loyalist paramilitaries. These were illegal groups who murdered many Catholics. So Catholics find it offensive that when the band goes out marching, the names of paramilitaries are on the band uniforms. They see these men as villains. The band see them as martyrs.
We don't class them as paramilitary. They were band members. That's what they were in the band, as in anybody who were killed in the troubles with the band. That's why they're on our banner head. Don't think paramilitaries or anything come into it. It's just they were members of the band. It's the same with anybody in the band. Doesn't matter who they are. They're getting remembered because past band members have been killed.
You know, I was walking along with the band and the music is rousing and everyone's out on the front step cheering them on and everyone's in a really good mood and the sun is shining and they've had a couple of drinks. I kind of get it. I know why they love it. And I know why it feels so important to them. I'm just always left with the question about Northern Ireland is that every time people say we're celebrating our culture, it is at the detriment to someone else's culture.
In some ways, it's not surprising how divided this place is when you consider the recent history here. Even though 15 years ago, a majority of people voted for peace, there have been plenty of disturbing incidents since. Tanya and Roisin were caught up in one of the worst of them. Aged just 7 and 8, the girls were pupils at Holy Cross Primary School. It's a Catholic school, but it's in the Protestant loyalist part of Ardoyne. And in 2001, things went very wrong. Some Protestant residents began picketing the Catholic children and their parents as they walked to school. It got out of control very quickly, and it made headlines around the world.
There's been more violence tonight in North Belfast on the second day of protests about the route Catholic children are taking to school.
We didn't really take in that they hated us because we knew that there was no reason, like we hadn't done anything wrong and it wasn't really our business as such. So we kind of just walked up the road and protected ourselves. It was like the main thing was to stay away from whatever they were throwing in. We were making a tunnel out of all the parents in the place and we were just kind of making our way through because we were so small.
The Holy Cross dispute stretched out over weeks. Roisin remembers having bags of urine thrown at her and her friends.
Yelling, blowing whistles, throwing water balloons with piss. Disgusting. It had to be explained to me, like, what a Protestant was and what a Catholic was, so, like, I can't understand, you know, like, why everyone was fighting.
You're a fucking dirtbag!
It doesn't matter what side of the line you live on. Many people here, even the younger ones, have been touched by violence. Gordy, the drummer in the band, was almost killed when he was a child. Today, he's taking us to the place where it happened.
I was actually 2. Me and my daddy was walking down the cycle, and I can't remember what building it was that blew up, but we were just 3 shops away. We only stopped because I saw a motorbike in the shop window or something, and I was one of these men that stopped. So if I hadn't done, we probably would have been right outside it. There's a number of deaths. A lot of people was murdered.
Ten people died when the IRA bombed the Shankill fish shop in 1993. It was one of the worst incidents of the whole conflict in Northern Ireland.
What kind of experience have you and your family had of troubles?
My granddad, he was shot when he was standing in the kitchen washing his hands through the head by the IRA, but there was no one ever caught or put to justice for it.
A few years later, and the IRA came to Gordy's house to kill his father. His father and grandfather were targeted because they were in the British Army.
My daddy's next door neighbour at the time. The IRA came out to shoot. It was meant to be for my daddy, but he was away and worked at the time. And the next door neighbour got shot dead in place. So that was a bit of an upset, like, so they had to pack up and move because of death threats and stuff, and because that happened. See, I was only a young boy when I was hearing the stories, and I thought, all this here, guns and the army and stuff, I used to think it was great. But now, when you're older and you're really taking into consideration what it was people trying to murder my father and stuff, and my grandfather was murdered, it's daunting. Like, you wouldn't know what to do when you're in a situation yourself, like.
It's the middle of June, 4 weeks away from the 12th of July celebrations. On the Loyalist side, one of the big summer traditions is underway. The night before the bands take to the streets on the 12th of July, they'll gather round a massive bonfire. This tradition goes back over 300 years to the victory of the Protestant King William over Catholic King James at the Battle of the Boyne. The bonfire will be huge, so huge they have to start building it weeks in advance. They collect as many wooden pallets from local businesses as they can. Every year there's fierce competition between Loyalist neighbourhoods. Size is everything. Tully's a flag carrier in the band. He's been building these bonfires for years. Lee, also in the band, is his right-hand man.
How long does it take you to build a bonfire?
The bonfire, you'd start usually about mid-June, have it done. You'd work right up until the 11th of July, then you'd have it finished there for it getting lit that night.
And what are you celebrating?
Just celebrating our culture, because it's been going on for so many years, so you're brought up to do it. Just something you want to keep going.
They start by building a hut, and from now until the bonfire is built, they'll use this as a guard post to protect it, in case Catholics come in from the other side and set it alight, or other Loyalists steal their wood.
So you guys stay overnight in the hut?
We'll stay till the next morning, until the kids are coming out of their beds,
Yeah.
and then they'll be running about the place.
And for how long are you staying in the
hut?
Yeah.
There's outside every night.
Every night?
On the 12th of July, hundreds of marching bands will take to the streets, and many of them will march past Catholic areas. Tanya is already dreading it, because the parade traditionally goes right past her house. Now the house is just on the edge of the Ardoyne, and the parades would go straight across the, or just outside your house. What's it like here on the 12th?
It's hectic. It's really bad here. People on the front of the road would probably cover their windows and stuff like that there, so missiles and stuff don't come through your window.
Last year, just before Christmas, someone managed to throw a brick through Tanya's window. It means she no longer really feels safe in her own bedroom. Does that make you feel nervous? Like, would you sleep in here on the night of the 12th?
No. Some, like most years so far, I haven't even been in my house. Like I've stayed in my granny's or went to a friend's house. or I would sleep in my mum's room or in the living room on the floor. Yeah, because it's too dangerous. Like, it's such an easy target.
What does the 12th represent to you?
In all seriousness, it doesn't mean anything to me. Like, it's just dead trouble.
The wall outside Tanya's house is the dividing line between Protestant and Catholic. But it's small compared to some of the other ones in Ardoyne. These huge barricades are called peace walls. They're there for one reason: to keep the two communities apart. There's talk of trying to take some of these walls down, but Tanya doesn't want that.
I probably wouldn't feel safe in my house, and there would be no escaping it either, because I couldn't sleep in all the rooms now that I go to because I can't sleep up here. I don't think many people would continue living here if there was no protection there.
It's the 21st of June, and tonight the band are getting ready for the first big parade of the marching season. It's in Belfast, and it's called the Tour of the North. And they've agreed to let me follow them.
I feel like I should have a drum or something.
Once, these bands could pretty much march anywhere they wanted to. But more protests by Catholics mean that these days they are often rerouted away from Catholic areas. When that happens, the band don't like it.
People are feeling very angry about it, like. It's upset a lot of people. They've been taken away, chipping away at us year by year, taking bits and bits away from us, like not walking down certain roads, not playing certain tunes at certain points. And they're trying to stop our culture. They're trying to stop it all together, and they'll not be happy until it does stop.
On tonight's march, the band have already been told they won't be allowed to walk their usual way home past the Catholic part of Ardoyne. They'll have to go home another way. Somewhere up ahead is a police roadblock.
Coming up to the blockade now, like everyone's getting really excited, like the band are all shouting and all the supporters kind of getting excited. Right. They're coming up to the police lines now. They're going to march right up. It's totally hectic. They're starting to throw glass bottles, so I know we stay right back. But
the band is angry that they have been stopped, but they disperse quickly and the situation calms down. Tonight, the band will take this decision on the chin, because they know the most important day to get up this road is the 12th of July. On that day, they have always been allowed through. And they expect this year to be no different. Now, the big day is just 3 weeks away. It's the end of June, and it's Roisin's last day of school. But this school is different to most others in Northern Ireland. Here, Catholics and Protestants go to school together. And it seems to work. Lots of people think this may be a solution to the division. But in Northern Ireland, it's still very rare. Only 7% of young people are in mixed schools. There's a reason Roisin wanted to go to school here. Holy Cross. After the ordeal of being attacked by Protestants on her way to primary school, Roisin made a big decision.
I just thought, like, I didn't want to judge them all for what, like, some of them had just done. Like, I wanted to give, like, other people a chance, like, because not everyone's the same, so.
Why do you think there aren't more integrated schools?
Because not everyone agrees with it, no way.
Really? Do you think people would disagree with a mixed school?
Yeah, definitely.
Why?
I don't
Even I.
the thought of our kids mixing with other people of different religions, definitely, like.
Really?
Yeah. I know loads of people that didn't want me to be sent here, my family.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
They disagree with it. Like, they didn't think it was right.
What do you think the best bits about integrated school?
It doesn't teach one solid religion, like it's open-minded to everybody. It doesn't teach you that like they're different from you or you're different from them. It's like yous are all equal, so yous will all be treated as equal. Like religion doesn't come into it.
But back in Ardoyne, the divisions still matter. Even Roisin has to live with them when she's on home turf.
No.
Tanya has only recently started walking up to the school to pick up her cousin. Roisin hasn't walked up the road to Holy Cross since it happened. Until today.
Do you remember the last time you walked up the road?
No, I was trying to think, but no.
Does it feel a little
Yeah,
weird?
it feels really weird. I want to hide behind Tanya, definitely.
Would you be conscious of who's looking at you?
Yeah, really? Definitely.
Why?
Because this is the Protestant area and we're Catholics.
Everywhere you look, you can see the letters K-A-T written on the walls.
What does that say there in the...
Kill all takes.
What does that mean?
Kill all Catholics.
The graffiti, like, it does say K-A-T everywhere. Kill all T's. It's just slang for Catholic, really. And they paint the pavements red, white and blue. It's kind of just marking their territory. Like I did say before, and there's our land and their land, and it's completely different, and you can see the invisible division, you can feel it, and you just don't cross it.
The Holy Cross protests may have stopped, but it feels like the hatred is still here, written on the walls. It's no wonder Roisin isn't happy.
Hello, Amy.
Hello.
When I was walking up the road that day, I was just so nervous. I don't know why. Like, it's not just like a normal Protestant area where you could be just like, all right, it's okay, you know, I'll chance this, but like, because there's so much that's happened up there, you know.
See you later. Bye.
That's a really bizarre experience, not least for the girls, because I think it was really clear that Roisin in particular was, you know, looking over her shoulder every few minutes. I mean, it was really concerning, and it's just so frightening to think that now, after all this time, that they really genuinely are concerned about walking to a school that they went to pick up their wee cousin, which is like 300 metres up the road.
Just around the corner from the school, on the loyalist side of the peace wall, the bonfire is taking shape. It's only a fortnight until the 12th of July when it has to be finished. Tully and Lee are working on it almost every day, staying out most nights to guard it. But when the sun is out, there's always time for a barbecue. The band doesn't just march together, they and their families hang out together too.
Come over and get them. Walk in the pub side.
Excellent work, Jordy.
All my hard work. All me, no one else.
No. You're vindicated now. All the hard work's paid off.
Another one there?
Tully tells me the bonfire building is on course. When it's finished, the bonfire will be as high as the Peace Wall.
Can people over the Peace Wall see the bonfire?
You can see on in their houses. You can see right over. Sometimes they're sitting talking, you know, giving a wee wave for you could be lucky to get a finger from them.
Do you give them back?
Just laugh, you have to.
When the bonfire is finished, they'll put an Irish flag on top of it because the Republic of Ireland is seen as the traditional enemy of loyalism. There's no getting around it. That's pretty provocative and offensive to most Catholics. Michael, the band leader, makes an appearance.
Why do you put the Irish flag on the top of the bonfire?
It's not a flag of our country, it's a foreign flag in our country.
Up here.
Just like they burn the Union Jack. Foreign flag. But it's a flag that's orange.
That was his first ever one.
The tricolour.
The tricolour? Tricolour, yeah, it's my flag.
The tricolour. It's your flag, I know it's your flag. Well, why is it your flag? It's not
Because I'm from Donegal.
Oh, you're Donegal.
Our flag's Union Jack, so he just pull up. It's always been the way.
With the big 12th of July marches just around the corner, the band still hasn't found out whether they will be allowed to march past the Catholic estate at Ardoyne. They feel they have a right to walk down the road.
How do you think people would feel if you weren't allowed to march past Ardoyne at all?
Shared space. They're allowed to walk up and down to their schools, but we're not allowed to walk down on this.
Of course they should be able to walk to their own schools.
With t-shirts on, kill all huns.
Does that happen?
T-shirts on, our kids coming home from school. Getting spat at, getting chased at. It's terrible.
Kill all Huns is the other side's answer to kill all T.Y.Gs. It means kill all Protestants. On both sides of the fence, it feels like people are prepared to believe almost anything about each other.
If you were walking down past the Ardoyne shop through the Catholic area on your own, what would happen?
Depends. They could know you, or they might not know you, so...
But if they knew that you were from up here?
Good luck, Tilly. That's all I'm saying. So you're not getting by her.
It is really surprising that 3 miles from where I live, these guys are living with such huge division and hatred. It feels dangerous. It feels like it wouldn't take very much for it to really kick off. Like, those boys, as lovely as they are angry, angry, angry boys. And the other side are angry. And just because we've had like 15 years of peace doesn't mean, and doesn't seem to be kind of changing the way that they feel or reaching them quite. So it feels like it could be very dangerous. It feels volatile.
This is BBC Radio Ulster.
The Parades Commission has ruled that the Orange Order cannot parade past the sectarian interface at Ardoyne.
It's the 11th of July, the day before the parade. And there's some surprising news. For the first time ever, the band have been told they won't be allowed to march home past the Catholic estate. Loyalists right across Northern Ireland are outraged.
I think the Protestant people have just pushed too far this time. I think we've kind of took it in the chin a couple of years, but I think it's been pushed too far, and somebody's going to have to sort it out.
I think it's like a powder keg. If they've been, the fuses are, and I think that's been lit. I think that's just ready to erupt.
It looks like there's going to be trouble. I go to see Tanya, who's starting to get worried. What do you think will happen now? It's kind of changed the game, hasn't it?
A lot of people are saying that they don't know, like they can't expect anything and this is different than any other year, but I think it's going to be a lot worse. I think it's going to be the worst yet.
Why so?
Because it was such a dramatic change, like it's such a dramatic decision to make, and this has never happened before. Like the parades always went up.
It's time for Tanya to batten down the hatches. She has to move her bed away from the window and cover the glass with bin bags in case it's broken.
It is a really bizarre way to have to live, but unfortunately for people that live in our town and stuff, that's usual, that's normal for us, and that's just what you have to do.
On the other side of the peace wall, Tully has done his job. From the top of the bonfire, he can look over the wall into the Catholic estate, and they can see him. The fire brigade turn up to make sure the bonfire isn't going to collapse once it's lit, something that happens pretty often to bonfires of this size.
Good, isn't it?
Aye. Are you pleased?
Oh, happy with that, like.
What'll happen now?
Gets burnt. 12 o'clock.
How do they burn it?
Petrol, down it. And a big pipe, and then just light it.
Light by petrol bomb or just petrol?
Don't know, see what happens, just.
The bonfire is covered in Irish flags. And there's that slogan again, kill all T.Y.Gs or kill all Catholics. This is really bizarre for me. By now, I feel welcome in this community, but they're burning the flag of my country and writing slogans about killing anyone who happens to be Catholic, like me. It's midnight. The big moment is finally here. And the petrol bombs come out. That's something else. I don't know if they have any health and safety rules, but... The band won't get a lot of sleep tonight. In just 5 hours from now, they will meet to march. But this 12th of July won't be like previous ones. It's obvious that trouble is brewing. What about the decision to stop using the way back?
Beautiful. Don't know how they come up with that.
Discuss it, sure.
Do you reckon people are pretty cross?
Aye.
So what do you think could happen? Do you think it could kick off tomorrow, or...?
I can see it happening.
You can just tell that tensions are high at the minute.
Tully thinks that the Catholics on the other side have managed to get the parade banned because they've rioted every year when it happens.
They show it every year, the violence pays for Emmons, and I want to see our ones having violence and see what happens from there. We want to see what happens if we kick off.
It's the morning of the 12th of July, and it promises to be one of the hottest days Belfast has seen in years. Today the band will march almost 20 miles in 28-degree heat.
It was like waking up Christmas morning, getting everything you ever wanted. The goosebumps run up and down your back, the hair stand on end. When you hear them cheering and stuff, it's brilliant.
Today, Pride of Ardoyne will be at the centre of a storm. Everyone will be watching them to find out what will happen at the end of the day when they are stopped from marching home. I'm the only outsider who's been allowed to walk with them. It's 8:30 a.m. The band have been joined by their supporters and they're marching into the city centre. Everyone is hyped up. On this early morning outward leg of the parade, the band are allowed to march past the Catholic area, but they won't be allowed to return this way.
The band are just coming down towards the flashpoint part, and they've been joined by loads and loads of supporters, and just behind us is where the Republican protest is going to be. They're allowed to walk past this morning, but later they'll be stopped before they get to this point.
Suddenly, the police move in.
So the supporters are going to try and actually get down through here, but the police and shields are barricading up.
The band were supposed to walk past the Catholic area with only 100 supporters. But many more have turned up and they're not allowed through. It's not even 9 o'clock in the morning, and already there's a standoff with police.
You said about half an hour ago.
On the Catholic side, Tanya is getting nervous.
Last night I went to bed quite early because I was too scared, and maybe I thought I'd fall asleep before anything happened. They were shouting and stuff, people were singing like kill all takes and stuff, and I was like, wow, never had to go to sleep to that kind of lullaby before. Bit weird. No, so I didn't sleep very well, and I woke up at about 8 o'clock to wait and see what the news was up here.
The band are wondering if their big day is over before it has even begun.
So what happens if you don't get down, do you think?
Have to wait and see. Play the waiting game now.
But after a bit of negotiation, they are on the move again, towards the Catholic area and the protesters.
Band on this side, police on this side, and just the other side, the protesters. And along this stretch, they're not allowed to have any hymns, sing, chant, just a single drum beat. And there's lots of people just over here.
That parade is offensive. It's celebrating the death of Catholics. We have every right to say, like, that's offensive. You can't just walk past an area and offend people like that.
The second the band cross the invisible dividing line into a loyalist area, the restrictions are lifted.
When these boys hit the roundabout, then they can play. So that's it, we've come through the tense bit. The police, by and large, will step back now. It just depends what happens later on this evening when they try to come back up home. That was tense. I can breathe now.
In the city centre, tens of thousands of people are out on the streets. Halfway through, the band gets a break. On the way home, they know they'll meet a police roadblock, and no one is expecting it to be peaceful.
What do you reckon will happen when you get stopped by the police?
I think once the police go heavy-handed, our ones aren't going to stand and take it. I I think our ones will come out in force and show. So I can see it just going nuts.
Lee, what do you reckon?
I don't know what will happen. Don't know. Anything can happen.
It's early evening, and the band are marching home.
When the band come into town, they get a really big reception because of all the controversy. You watch how the crowd react.
The atmosphere is different now. A lot of people have been drinking. Pride of Ardoyne is getting a huge reception. The crowd knows they're minutes away from hitting the roadblock. At Catholic Ardoyne, crowds have gathered and there are hundreds of police. It's tense, but they know the band won't be allowed past this time. And for the first time in years, there's no rioting on the Catholic side. Back in the middle of the Loyalist parade, we're almost at the police roadblock. At first, there's a street party atmosphere. Then the first bottles are thrown at police.
Police helicopters just above and they're starting to throw missiles across. Guys are coming up on top of the Land Rovers.
A water cannon is brought out. And very quickly it's used. We are caught in the middle. The atmosphere changes very quickly. Then a man approaches the camera and threatens us, telling us to stop filming and to get out. I film on my phone as Gary moves back and Gordy is soaked. Up at the police lines, members of another band are attacking the police. Some of them are using ceremonial swords. It's getting serious, and it's clear we're not safe here anymore.
Just had to move from the other side of the police lines where basically we were threatened by a man I can only assume was the paramilitary, and the band got very, very touchy and asked us to get out as quickly as possible. I mean, there are people lying in there with their heads split open from the water cannon. I'm totally soaked. And it doesn't look like that's going to end anytime soon. When we were leaving, there was reams of boys running through with bricks in their hand and just knew it was time to go.
And soon, it gets a lot worse.
There's bricks and bottles coming through. The water cannon's been used in plastic bullets. It's full on riot.
Across Belfast, 32 police officers will end up being injured tonight. I watched the riots for several hours, but I didn't see any of the band members I knew taking part. The 12th of July is drawing to a close, and my marching season is over.
Like, it's the end of the biggest day of the marching season, but I have no idea how long this is going to go on for. Like, it might go on for a couple of hours. The way some of the band are speaking to me, it might go on for a couple of days. But even beyond that, like, this is Belfast today, you know, so many years after an agreement, and like, this isn't normal. This isn't normal society. It doesn't give me a lot of hope, really, for the future. It kind of feels like this is deja vu, and it's the kind of thing that's just going to go on and on.
just going to up and leave North Belfast. I don't think I'll be here. The fact that when people don't get their own way, chaos breaks out and all they do is riot, and that's the only solution, and nobody even offers to sit down and just talk something out, which is the most mature thing to do, which will actually get things done. No, I don't want to be here. It makes life too difficult, and I don't want my kids when I grow up having the same trouble.
I'm going to stay at it. Hopefully we get up this road and keep on supporting and marching and celebrating our culture. If I get up this road, it'll be a big bonus. We're not going to push for anything else. That's all we want. We don't want any finance or sales, or we just want up home to be able to celebrate, be able to finish our 12th. It's not over yet.